Nobody saw it coming. Not the feds, not her father, not even the guys who had eyes on every corner of downtown LA. The night Marcus, the ghost Romano, walked into that charity gala in Beverly Hills, he wasn't supposed to be there. A mob boss crashing a judge's fundraiser? That's like showing up to your own funeral. But Marcus never played by the rules, and that night those rules were about to get torched. The chandeliers were dripping with diamonds, fake smiles everywhere, champagne flowing like water in Malibu. Then she walked in. Isabella Harrington. 23, Stanford grad. Her old man was Judge Thomas Harrington, the same cat who'd been trying to put Marcus behind bars for 5 years straight. She wore this emerald dress that made every head turn, but Marcus? He wasn't looking at the dress. He was looking at her eyes. Cold, calculating, bored out of her mind. Just like him. Their eyes locked across that crowded room for maybe 3 seconds. But bro, those 3 seconds changed everything. Because what nobody knew, what her father definitely didn't know, was that Isabella had a secret. A secret that would make Marcus, the most dangerous man she'd ever met, look like a straight-up choir boy. Before we dive into what happened next, real quick, if you want to know how this forbidden love story unfolds, how a mafia boss and a judge's daughter pulled off the impossible, and what secrets they were hiding that could destroy entire families, hit that subscribe button right now and smash the like. What? Because this story gets wild, and I'm dropping part 2 soon, where everything you think you know gets flipped upside down. Trust me, you don't want to miss what Isabella was really hiding. Now let's get back to that night, because things are about to get crazy. So here's the thing about Marcus Romano. The dude wasn't your typical mob boss with gold chains and loud cars. Nah, Marcus was different. They called him the Ghost for a reason. He moved through LA like smoke, untouchable, invisible when he needed to be. 28 years old, built his empire from the ground up after his pops got taken out by a rival family when Marcus was just 17. The kid went from running numbers in Echo Park to controlling half the underground operations in Southern California in less than a decade. Real talk, he was a genius. Not the kind you read about in Forbes, but the kind that knows how to make 20 million disappear and reappear in the Cayman Islands before the feds even finish their morning coffee. But that night at the gala, Marcus wasn't there for business. He was there because his attorney, some hotshot lawyer named Richard Chin, begged him to show face. Make nice with the community, blend in with the elite, show the world that Marcus Romano was just another successful businessman. Total BS, but Marcus played along. He threw on a Tom Ford suit, slicked back his dark hair, and walked into that ballroom like he owned the place. Which, funny enough, he kinda did. The building? Marcus had money in it. The catering company? One of his fronts. Even the security guards had guys on his payroll. Judge Harrington was throwing this fancy charity event to raise money for at-risk youth, completely clueless that the biggest risk to youth in California was probably sipping champagne 20 feet away from him. Isabella spotted her father across the room, glad handing donors, flashing that politician smile he perfected over 30 years on the bench. She couldn't stand these events. Every single one was the same. Rich people pretending to care, writing checks so they could feel good about themselves, then going back to their mansions in the hills and forgetting these kids existed. But Isabella? She actually volunteered at the youth center her dad was raising money for. Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 2 years. Nobody knew. Not her friends, not her father, definitely not the press. She kept it on the down low because she didn't want it to be about her. She'd seen real struggle, real poverty, kids who didn't know where their next meal was coming from. And it changed her. Made her realize how fake her whole world was. That's when she saw him. Marcus. Standing by the bar, looking completely out of place and totally comfortable at the same time. Isabella had spent her whole life around powerful men, politicians, lawyers, judges, and she could spot a predator from a mile away. This guy? He was definitely a predator. But there was something else. The way he carried himself, like he didn't need anyone's approval. Like he could walk out right now and the whole room would feel it. She watched him for maybe 30 seconds before their eyes met. And bro, it was electric. Not that cheesy love at first sight stuff you see in movies. This was different. It was like two people recognizing something in each other. Some kind of darkness. Some kind of understanding that neither of them belonged in that room. Marcus broke the stare first, which surprised Isabella. Guys never looked away from her first. She was used to being chased, being wanted, being pursued by every tech bro and trust fund kid in California. But this dude? He looked at her like he could see right through the designer dress and perfect makeup, like he knew she was just as trapped as he was. Then he did something wild. He smiled. Not a flirty smile, not a cocky smile. It was almost sad. Like he was saying, "We both know how this ends, don't we?" Isabella's heart was racing. She didn't even know who this guy was, but something told her she needed to find out. She grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and started moving through the crowd. Her father was deep in conversation with some tech billionaire, completely oblivious. Perfect. She made her way toward the bar, casual, like she wasn't hunting. When she got close enough, Marcus turned to face her fully. Up close he was even more intense. Dark eyes, sharp jawline, a small scar above his left eyebrow that looked like it had a story. He was maybe 6'1", athletic build, and he smelled like expensive cologne and danger. "You lost," Marcus said, his voice smooth with just a hint of that East LA accent he could never fully shake. Isabella raised an eyebrow. "Do I look lost?" she shot back. Marcus grinned. "Nah, you look like you're looking for trouble." Isabella took a sip of her champagne, not breaking eye contact. "And what if I am?" That's when Marcus knew he was in deep. This girl wasn't some spoiled rich kid. There was fire behind those eyes. Intelligence. Maybe even a little bit of crazy. "You liked it? Then you came to the right place," he said. "But you should probably know who you're talking to first." Isabella leaned in closer, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "I know exactly who you are, Marcus Romano. What I don't know is why the most wanted man in California just walked into my father's fundraiser like he's untouchable." The smile dropped from Marcus's face. She knew. She actually knew. Most people didn't recognize him without a mugshot. He kept his face out of the papers, off social media, invisible. But somehow Judge Harrington's daughter had done her homework. "Your father's fundraiser?" Marcus said, the pieces clicking together. "You're Isabella Harrington." She nodded. "Guilty." Marcus let out a low whistle. Well, this just got interesting. They stood there for a moment, sizing each other up like two boxers in a ring. The tension was thick. Everyone around them was laughing, drinking, completely unaware that a mob boss and a judge's daughter were having a stare-down that could end careers, maybe even lives. "So what happens now?" Isabella asked. "You gonna run back to whatever hole you crawled out of, or are you gonna buy me a drink?" Marcus couldn't help but laugh. This girl had guts. "I don't think your old man would appreciate me buying his daughter anything." Isabella's expression hardened. "My father doesn't control me. Nobody does." And right there Marcus knew he was screwed. Because that statement, that defiance, that fire, it was exactly what he'd been looking for his whole life. Someone who didn't play by the rules. Someone who understood what it meant to be trapped in a life you didn't choose. "All right then," Marcus said, signaling the bartender. "What are you drinking?" Isabella smiled. "Whiskey." "Neat." Marcus raised his eyebrows. "A girl after my own heart." They both ordered, and when the drinks came they clinked glasses. "To bad decisions," Marcus said. "To freedom," Isabella countered. They drank, and in that moment, everything changed. Neither of them knew it yet, but that toast, that single moment of rebellion, was about to set off a chain reaction that would tear apart families, destroy reputations, and force both of them to choose between loyalty and love. Because what Marcus didn't know was that Isabella wasn't just rebelling against her father. She was running from something. Something dark. Something that had been haunting her for 3 years. And what Isabella didn't know was that Marcus had enemies. Enemies who would use her to get to him. Enemies who wouldn't hesitate to put a bullet in her head if it meant taking down the ghost. The next 3 weeks were straight up insane. Marcus and Isabella started meeting in secret. Not at fancy restaurants or clubs where people could see them. Nah, they met at this old diner in Boyle Heights, a place called Rosie's that had been around since the 50s. Red leather booths, checkered floors, the smell of coffee and grease in the air. It was the last place anyone would expect to find a mob boss and a judge's daughter. Marcus would show up in a hoodie and jeans, looking like any other dude from the neighborhood. Isabella would come in workout clothes, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. They'd sit in the back booth for hours just talking. And bro, they talked about everything. Isabella told him about Stanford, about how she studied criminal justice because she wanted to understand the system her father was part of. She told him about the pressure, the expectations, how everyone assumed she'd go to law school and follow in daddy's footsteps. But she didn't want that. She wanted to help people, real people, not just read about them in case files. Marcus listened, really listened, and for the first time in her life, Isabella felt like someone actually got her. She wasn't just Judge Harrington's daughter. She was Isabella. And that meant something. Marcus opened up too, which was wild because he never talked about his past. But with Isabella it was different. He told her about his mom, how she worked 3 jobs to keep him and his little sister fed after his dad died. How she begged him not to get involved with the family business, but he did it anyway because he needed to protect them. How his sister Carmen was in college now, studying to be a doctor, and she had no idea where the tuition money really came from. Isabella saw the guilt in his eyes when he talked about Carmen. The weight of carrying secrets, of being someone you're not. She understood that weight better than anyone. But here's where things get complicated. One night after their 5th or 6th meeting, Isabella did something she'd never done before. She told Marcus about Evan. Evan Bradford was this guy she dated back at Stanford senior year. Trust fund kid, captain of the lacrosse team, seemed perfect on paper. Her dad loved him. Everyone loved him. They dated for 8 months and Isabella thought maybe, just maybe, this was what normal looked like. Then one night after a party at his frat house, everything changed. Evan got aggressive. Real aggressive. Isabella fought back, got away but barely. She never reported it. How could she? Her father was a judge. The media would have had a field day. So she buried it. Graduated, came back to LA and pretended like it never happened. But it haunted her. Every single day. When she finished telling Marcus, there were tears running down her face. She hadn't cried about it in 2 years. Marcus didn't say anything at first. He just reached across the table and took her hand. His jaw was tight, his eyes dark. "Where is he now?" Marcus asked, his voice cold as ice. Isabella shook her head. "It doesn't matter. It's over." Marcus leaned in close. "It matters to me. Where is he?" Isabella could see it in his eyes. He wanted to hurt Evan. And honestly, part of her wanted him to. But she couldn't let that happen. "He's in San Francisco, working at his dad's investment firm." "Marcus, please. Just let it go." Marcus sat back processing. Every instinct in his body told him to find this punk and make him pay. But he could see the fear in Isabella's eyes. Not fear of Evan. Fear of what Marcus might do. So he made a choice. He squeezed her hand and nodded. "Okay, I'll let it go. But if he ever comes near you again, all bets are off. You feel me?" Isabella nodded, wiping her eyes. "I feel you." That night changed everything between them. The connection went deeper. It wasn't just attraction anymore. It was trust. Real trust. The kind you can't fake. Marcus started letting Isabella into parts of his world he'd never shown anyone. He took her to the youth center one night after hours and showed her the boxing program he'd been secretly funding for 3 years. Turns out, Marcus had been putting money into the same place Isabella volunteered at. Neither of them knew. When they realized it, they both just started laughing. Here they were, 2 people from completely different worlds trying to do the same thing. Help kids who didn't have a shot. It was cosmic, man. Like the universe was trying to tell them something. But the universe was also trying to warn them. Because while Marcus and Isabella were falling for each other, other people were watching. Marcus's second-in-command, a guy named Tommy Ricci, started asking questions. Where was Marcus disappearing to? Why wasn't he at the usual spots? Tommy had been with Marcus since day one, loyal to a fault, but even he was getting suspicious. And on the other side of town, Judge Harrington was noticing changes in his daughter. She seemed happier, lighter, like some weight had been lifted. He figured maybe she'd met someone, which was fine by him. He just hoped it was someone appropriate. Someone from the right family. Someone who wasn't going to embarrass the Harrington name. Little did he know. The real problem started when Isabella made a mistake. A small one, but in their world, small mistakes get people killed. She was meeting Marcus at Rosie's one Tuesday night, rushing because she was late. She didn't notice the black SUV that followed her from her apartment in Santa Monica all the way to Boyle Heights. Inside that SUV was a private investigator named Richard Walsh. And Walsh wasn't working for Marcus's enemies. He was working for Isabella's father. Judge Harrington had hired him 2 weeks earlier, just to make sure his daughter was safe, make sure she wasn't getting into anything sketchy. Standard protective father stuff. But when Walsh saw Isabella walk into that diner and sit down with Marcus Romano, his brain nearly exploded. He took photos. Lots of them. Isabella laughing, Marcus holding her hand, them leaving together. Every single moment documented. Walsh drove straight to Judge Harrington's house in Pacific Palisades and showed him the photos. The judge went pale. Then red. Then purple. He couldn't believe it. His daughter. His perfect, brilliant daughter, sitting across from the man he'd been trying to put away for half a decade. The man responsible for God knows how many crimes. The man who represented everything Judge Harrington stood against. He felt betrayed. Angry. Scared. Because this wasn't just about Isabella making a bad choice. This was about leverage. If Marcus's enemies found out about this, if the media found out, if anyone found out, Isabella would become a target. And Judge Harrington, for all his power and influence, couldn't protect her from that world. Nobody could. Meanwhile, Marcus had his own problems brewing. Tommy Ricci did some digging and found out about Isabella. When he brought it to Marcus, he was furious. "Are you out of your mind, boss? The judge's daughter? The same judge who's been trying to bury us for years? This is suicide." Marcus knew Tommy was right. It was reckless, dangerous, stupid. But he couldn't stop. He was in too deep. "I got it under control," Marcus said. Tommy shook his head. "No, you don't. You're thinking with your heart, not your head. And in our business, that gets you killed." But Marcus wasn't listening. For the first time in his life, he'd found something real. Something worth fighting for. He wasn't about to give that up. Not for Tommy, not for the business, not for anyone. What neither Marcus nor Isabella realized was that someone else was watching them too. Someone way more dangerous than a private investigator or a concerned second-in-command. Antonio Vega. Head of the Vega cartel, Marcus's biggest rival, the man who'd been trying to push Marcus out of LA for 3 years. Antonio had eyes everywhere, and when word reached him that Marcus Romano was getting cozy with Judge Harrington's daughter, he saw an opportunity. Not just to hurt Marcus but to destroy him completely. Because Antonio knew something that nobody else knew. Something about Judge Harrington. Something about a case from 10 years ago. A case that never went to trial. A case that got buried. And if that information got out, it would ruin the judge. But more importantly, it would give Antonio the leverage he needed to control Marcus. All he had to do was grab Isabella. Use her as bait. Force Marcus to make a choice between his empire and the girl he loved. It was perfect, cold, calculated. And it was already in motion. Hey, real quick before we continue, what do you think so far? Are you Team Marcus and Isabella, or do you think they're making a huge mistake? Drop your comment below, we really want to know your opinion. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between what's right and what your heart wants? Or maybe you know someone who fell for the wrong person. Tell us your story in the comments. This really helps me keep bringing stories like this to you. And listen, you gotta stick around until the end because what happens next is absolutely wild. Isabella's about to discover something about her father that changes everything, and Marcus has to make the hardest decision of his life. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Let's keep going. It was a Thursday night when everything went sideways. Isabella was driving home from the youth center, music playing, thinking about Marcus, completely lost in her thoughts. She didn't see the black Mercedes pull up behind her on the 10 freeway. Didn't notice when it started matching her speed. By the time she realized something was wrong, it was too late. The Mercedes swerved in front of her, forcing her to slam on the brakes. Another car boxed her in from behind. Isabella's heart was pounding. She reached for her phone, but before she could dial, her driver's side door got ripped open. 2 guys, massive, wearing all black, grabbed her. She screamed, fought back, kicked one of them in the face, but there were too many. They dragged her out of the car, threw a bag over her head, and tossed her into the Mercedes. The whole thing took maybe 15 seconds. Cars drove past on the freeway. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. In LA, people mind their business. When they pulled the bag off her head, Isabella was in a warehouse somewhere in Vernon. Industrial area, nothing but factories and empty lots. The place smelled like oil and rust. Antonio Vega was sitting in a chair across from her, smoking a cigar, looking like he had all the time in the world. Isabella had never met him, but she knew who he was. Everyone in LA knew the Vega name. Antonio was in his 50s, gray hair slicked back, expensive suit, cold eyes that had seen things, done things that would make most people sick. "Isabella Harrington," Antonio said, blowing smoke. "I gotta say, you're prettier in person than in the photos." Isabella's hands were tied behind her back, but she wasn't about to show fear. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," she said. Antonio laughed. "Funny, I was about to say the same thing to you. Dating Marcus Romano? Really? A smart girl like you should know better." Isabella's mind was racing. How did he know? How long had he been watching? Antonio stood up, walked over to her, got close enough that she could smell the cigar on his breath. "Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna call your boyfriend. Tell him I got you. And then he's gonna make a choice. He can give me his territory, his connections, everything he's built, and I'll let you go. Or he can say no, and I'll send pieces of you back to your father. Starting with those pretty fingers." Isabella felt her stomach drop, but she kept her face neutral. "Marcus won't negotiate with you. He doesn't negotiate with anyone." Antonio smiled. "Oh, I think he will. See, I know something about Marcus that you don't. The man's soft. Under all that tough guy act, he's got a weakness. And that weakness is people he cares about. His sister Carmen? Almost gave up everything when she got sick 2 years ago. Didn't tell anyone, but I know. And now he's got you. So yeah, he'll negotiate. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus was in a meeting with his crew when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something told him to pick up. Marcus Romano, he said. Antonio's voice came through, smooth, mocking. Ghost, my friend. How's it going? Marcus's blood went cold. He stood up from the table, walked to the corner of the room. Antonio. What do you want? There was a pause, then Antonio said the words that made Marcus's world stop. I got your girl. Isabella. And before you do something stupid, you should know she's perfectly safe. For now. But that could change real quick depending on what you say in the next 60 seconds. Marcus felt rage building in his chest, white hot, almost blinding. His hands were shaking. Tommy saw his face and immediately signaled everyone to stay quiet. If you hurt her, Marcus said, his voice deadly calm, I will burn your entire operation to the ground. I will hunt down everyone you've ever cared about. Your family, your crew, everyone. You hear me? Antonio laughed. There's that passion I was looking for. Look, I don't want to hurt the girl. I'm not a monster. I just want what's mine. You've been operating on my turf for too long, Marcus. Time to step aside. Give me your connections, your distribution network, your protection inside the LAPD, and Isabella goes home safe. You got 24 hours to decide. Oh, and Marcus, don't try anything heroic. I got guys watching her father's house, your sister's apartment, everywhere. You make one wrong move and this gets messy. Real messy. The line went dead. Marcus stood there, phone in his hand, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under him. Tommy walked over. Boss, what happened? Marcus looked at him and Tommy saw something he'd never seen before. Fear. Real fear. They got Isabella. Vegas got her. The room exploded. Everyone started talking at once, throwing out ideas, plans, but Marcus wasn't listening. He was thinking. Calculating. Antonio wanted his empire. Everything he'd built. Everything his father died for. But on the other side was Isabella. The only person who'd ever made him feel like he could be something other than the ghost. The only person who saw him as just Marcus. He knew what he had to do. He knew what the choice was. And it was killing him. Tommy grabbed his arm. We can get her back. We got enough guys, enough firepower. We hit the warehouse, extract her, take Vega out in the process. Marcus shook his head. Too risky. If anything goes wrong, she's dead. I can't take that chance. Tommy's eyes went wide. Wait, are you saying what I think you're saying? You're gonna give him everything? Marcus, this is your life. This is our life. You built this from nothing. Marcus turned to face his crew, all of them watching, waiting for orders. These guys had been loyal to him for years. Some of them since the beginning. They'd bled for him, killed for him, gone to prison for him. And now he was about to walk away from all of it. For a girl. Listen up, Marcus said, his voice steady. I'm meeting with Vega tomorrow. I'm giving him what he wants. The territory, the connections, everything. After that, I'm out. Anyone who wants to stay and work under Vega, that's your call. Anyone who wants to walk away, I'll make sure you're set up. But this empire? It's done. The room was dead silent. Nobody could believe what they were hearing. Tommy looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Boss, think about this. You're throwing away everything. Marcus met his eyes. I already did think about it. And she's worth more than everything. But here's where the story takes a turn nobody saw coming. While Marcus was preparing to sacrifice his empire, Isabella was having a conversation with Antonio that changed the entire game. After Antonio made the call to Marcus, he left Isabella alone in the warehouse with just one guard. Big mistake. Because Isabella wasn't some helpless victim. She'd been taking Krav Maga classes for 2 years, ever since the incident with Evan. She waited for the right moment, when the guard got distracted by his phone and she made her move. Kicked the chair out from under herself, rolled, got her tied hands under her feet so they were in front, then rushed the guard. Caught him off guard, hit him in the throat, grabbed his gun and knocked him out cold. The whole thing took maybe 10 seconds. Isabella was breathing hard, adrenaline pumping, but she was free. She found her phone in a box near the door, still had battery. She could have called 911. Could have called her father. But she didn't. She called Marcus. When Marcus answered and heard her voice, he almost collapsed with relief. Isabella, where are you? Are you okay? Isabella was already moving, making her way through the warehouse toward an exit. I'm okay. I got out. But Marcus, listen to me. Before I escaped, I heard Antonio talking on the phone. He knows something. Something about my father. A case from 10 years ago. Something about a man named Daniel Ortiz. Marcus froze. That name. He knew that name. Daniel Ortiz was a low-level dealer who got picked up on murder charges 10 years ago. The case was airtight, DNA evidence, witnesses, everything. But then suddenly the case got dismissed. Judge Harrington threw it out on a technicality. Everyone thought it was just legal procedure. But the streets knew different. Word was Ortiz paid someone off. Big money. And the only person who could have made that case disappear was the judge himself. Isabella kept talking, her voice shaking. Antonio said he has proof. Documents. Bank transfers. He's been holding on to it for years, waiting for the right moment. And now he's gonna use it. If Marcus doesn't give up his territory, Antonio's gonna expose my father. Ruin him. Send him to prison. Marcus, my dad's not perfect, but he's not corrupt. There has to be an explanation. But Marcus knew the truth. Judge Harrington was dirty. Maybe not fully, maybe it was just that one case, one moment of weakness, but it didn't matter. Antonio had the leverage. And now Marcus understood the real game. This wasn't just about taking his territory. This was about controlling the judge. About having power over the legal system itself. If Antonio had Judge Harrington in his pocket, he wouldn't just control the streets. He'd control the courts too. He'd be untouchable. Where are you right now? Marcus asked. Isabella looked around. I don't know exactly. Some warehouse district. I see a sign that says Vernon Avenue. Marcus was already moving. Stay there. Hide somewhere safe. I'm coming to get you. And Isabella? Don't call your father. Not yet. We need to figure this out first. Marcus hung up, turned to Tommy. Get everyone. Every guy we got. We're going to Vernon. Tommy nodded, relief flooding his face. Now we're talking. We taking Vega out. Marcus grabbed his gun, checked the clip. Yeah, but not for the Empire. For her. And right there, in that moment, Marcus Romano stopped being the ghost. He stopped being the calculating mob boss who always played the smart move. He became something more dangerous. A man in love with nothing left to lose. The drive to Vernon took 20 minutes but felt like hours. Marcus had 12 guys with him, all armed, all ready. When they got to the warehouse district, Isabella texted him her location. She was hiding behind a dumpster 2 buildings down from where they'd held her. Marcus pulled up, jumped out before the car even fully stopped, ran to her. When he saw her, alive, safe, everything else faded away. He pulled her into his arms, held her tight. I thought I lost you, he whispered. Isabella pulled back, looked him in the eyes. We need to talk about my father. We need to figure out what really happened with that case. Marcus nodded. We will. But first we're ending this. Tonight. He turned to Tommy. Surround the warehouse. Nobody gets out. Tommy grinned. With pleasure. This was it. The moment everything had been building to. Marcus was about to go to war with Antonio Vega, not for territory or power or respect. For love. For Isabella. And for the truth about what really happened 10 years ago. Because something was telling him that Daniel Ortiz's case wasn't just about a corrupt judge. It was about something bigger. Something that connected all of them. Marcus, Isabella, Antonio, Judge Harrington. They were all pieces of a puzzle that was finally coming together. The raid on Antonio's warehouse was quick and brutal. Marcus's crew hit it from 3 sides, overwhelming the guards before they could even radio for help. Gunshots echoed through the industrial district, but in Vernon at midnight, nobody called the cops. They found Antonio in his office upstairs, surrounded by bodyguards, looking way less confident than he had on the phone. When Marcus kicked down the door, gun drawn, Antonio's hands went up real quick. Easy, Ghost. We can work this out. Marcus pointed the gun at his head. Where are the documents? The ones about Judge Harrington. Antonio smiled, even with a gun in his face. Dude had guts. You really think I'd keep them here? Come on, Marcus. I'm not stupid. Those documents are locked away somewhere safe. And if anything happens to me, they go straight to the LA Times. Your girlfriend's daddy goes down and she goes down with him. Guilt by association, you know how it is. Isabella stepped into the room behind Marcus. He's bluffing. He doesn't have anything. But Antonio's eyes lit up when he saw her. Oh, I got plenty, sweetheart. You want to know what really happened with Daniel Ortiz? Your father didn't just dismiss the case because of money. He dismissed it because Ortiz had dirt on him. Real dirt. See, 10 years ago your old man was having an affair with a prosecutor named Linda Chin. This was before he made federal judge. Ortiz somehow found out, got photos, threatened to leak them during your father's confirmation hearings. So your daddy made a deal. The case disappears, Ortiz keeps his mouth shut, everybody wins. Except for the family of the guy Ortiz murdered, But hey, that's justice in LA, right? Isabella felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. Her father, the man who preached about integrity and the rule of law, he'd let a murderer walk free to protect his career. Marcus saw the devastation on her face and rage took over. He moved forward, pressed the gun against Antonio's forehead. You got 5 seconds to tell me where those documents are or I paint this office with your brain. Antonio laughed, crazy-like, because he knew he'd already won. Kill me and you'll never find them. But here's the thing, Ghost. I don't actually want the documents public. I want what I've always wanted. Your territory. Your connections. So here's the new deal. You work for me now. Both of you. Marcus, you handle the streets. Isabella, you convince Daddy to play ball with our operations. We all get rich, nobody gets hurt, and those documents stay buried forever. Marcus's finger tightened on the trigger. Every instinct told him to pull it. And this. But Tommy's voice cut through from behind. Boss, we got company. LAPD. Lots of them. Someone must have called in the shots. Marcus's mind raced. If the cops found them here with Antonio with guns, it was over. They'd all go down. Antonio grinned. Looks like you got a choice to make, Ghost. Shoot me and spend the rest of your life in prison or walk away and think about my offer. Either way, I win. Marcus wanted to pull that trigger so bad his hand was shaking. But Isabella touched his arm. Marcus, we gotta go. Now. She was right. Marcus lowered the gun, looked Antonio dead in the eyes. This ain't over. Antonio straightened his tie. Oh, I'm counting on it. They ran. Marcus, Isabella, and the crew scattered through the warehouse, out the back exits, into waiting cars before the cops could surround the building. They regrouped at a safe house in Inglewood, everyone breathing hard, coming down from the adrenaline. Tommy was pacing, furious. We should have taken him out. We had him. But Marcus was staring at Isabella, who was sitting in the corner, head in her hands. She just found out her father was corrupt. That everything she believed about him was a lie. Marcus sat down next to her. Hey, look at me. Isabella lifted her head, tears in her eyes. How do I face him? How do I look at my father knowing what he did? Marcus took her hand. The same way I look at myself every day. We're all carrying something, Isabella. None of us are clean. What matters is what we do next. The next morning, Isabella did something she'd been avoiding. She went to see her father. Judge Harrington was in his study at home, reading case files when she walked in. He looked up, smiled, then saw her face and the smile dropped. Isabella, what's wrong? She sat down across from him, hands folded, trying to keep her composure. I need you to tell me about Daniel Ortiz. The color drained from her father's face. He set down the file, took off his reading glasses, suddenly looking 20 years older. How do you know that name? Isabella's voice was steady but cold. Does it matter? Just tell me the truth. Did you let a murderer go free? The silence stretched between them like a canyon. Finally, Judge Harrington nodded. Yes, I did. And I've regretted it every single day since. What happened next, Isabella didn't expect. Her father broke down. Actually broke down crying, something she'd never seen in her entire life. He told her everything. About Linda Chin, about the affair, about how Ortiz threatened to destroy not just his career but his entire family. About how he'd convinced himself he was making the right choice, protecting his wife, protecting Isabella. But he knew. Deep down he knew it was wrong. He tried to make up for it ever since. Throwing himself into his work, being harder on criminals, raising money for at-risk youth. Like somehow that would balance the scales. But it never did. Isabella listened to all of it, feeling her anger transform into something more complicated. Disappointment. Sadness. Understanding. Because she got it. She understood what it meant to make a terrible choice to protect someone you love. She'd done it herself when she didn't report Evan. She'd buried that truth to protect herself, her family's reputation, her father's career. They were more alike than she wanted to admit. Dad, she said quietly. Someone has evidence. Documents. Bank transfers. They're using it as leverage. Judge Harrington looked up, wiping his eyes. Who? Isabella hesitated. Antonio Vega. He wants us to work with him. Help him with his operations. If we don't, he goes public with everything. Her father stood up, walked to the window, looking out at the Pacific Ocean in the distance. For a long moment he didn't say anything. Then he turned back to Isabella. I won't do it. I've made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but I won't compound them by helping a criminal organization. If Vega wants to expose me, let him. I'll face the consequences. I should have faced them 10 years ago. Isabella felt something shift inside her. Respect. For the first time in months, maybe years, she felt respect for her father. He was finally ready to own his choices, accept the punishment, do the right thing even if it destroyed him. But Isabella wasn't ready to let him go down without a fight. That night, she met with Marcus at Rosie's diner, their spot. She had a plan. A crazy, dangerous plan that could either save everyone or destroy them all. "We need to find those documents before Antonio can use them," Isabella said. "If we get them first, we take away his leverage. He's got nothing." Marcus shook his head. "Isabella, we don't even know where they are. Could be anywhere. A safe, a bank, a lawyer's office. We'd need inside information." Isabella leaned forward. "Then we get inside information. We find someone close to Antonio. Someone who knows where he keeps his insurance policies. Someone who might be willing to flip." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You got someone in mind?" Isabella smiled, and Marcus saw that fire in her eyes again. That determination. "Antonio mentioned Linda Chin earlier. The prosecutor my dad had an affair with. She disappeared after the Ortiz case. Everyone assumed she left the state, started over somewhere. But what if she didn't? What if she's still in LA? What if Antonio's been keeping tabs on her too? It took 3 days, but they found her. Linda Chin was living in Long Beach under a different name, working as a paralegal at a small firm. When Marcus and Isabella showed up at her apartment, she nearly had a heart attack. She'd spent 10 years looking over her shoulder, waiting for this moment. But when Isabella explained what was happening, what Antonio was planning, something changed in Linda's eyes. She'd been carrying guilt just like Judge Harrington. Maybe worse, because she'd been the one having the affair, the one who'd caused the whole mess. "I can help you," Linda said. "I know where Antonio keeps his important documents. I used to work with his attorney before I went into hiding. There's a safe deposit box at a bank in Pasadena. Security box number 728. He keeps everything there. Birth certificates, passports, insurance policies. Everything." Marcus and Isabella looked at each other. This was it. The break they needed. But getting into a bank vault wasn't gonna be easy. They'd need a plan. Team. And most importantly, they'd need to move fast because Antonio would know they were coming. Tommy put together a crew. Not for violence this time, but for a heist. They had a guy who could hack security systems, another who could forge documents, and a woman named Rosa who'd worked bank security for 15 years before joining Marcus's operation. The plan was simple but risky. Rosa would go in as a customer, create a distraction, while Marcus, dressed as a bank manager, accessed the vault. They'd have maybe 5 minutes before anyone realized what was happening. 5 minutes to find box 728, crack it open, grab the documents and get out. It was insane. But it was their only shot. The day of the heist, everything went wrong. The security system was newer than they expected. The vault had an extra layer of protection. And worst of all, Antonio's attorney showed up at the bank at the exact same time they did. Marcus saw him walk through the front door and his blood ran cold. If the attorney went to the vault, if he checked his box, the whole plan was blown. Isabella, who was waiting outside in the getaway car, saw Marcus's face through the window and knew something was up. She made a split-second decision. She got out of the car, walked into the bank and approached Antonio's attorney directly. "Mr. Castellano? Isabella Harrington. I'm Judge Harrington's daughter. I was hoping I could speak with you about a legal matter." The attorney looked confused but intrigued. "Of course, Miss Harrington. Is your father all right?" Isabella smiled, leading him away from the vault. "Oh, he's fine. I'm actually the one who needs advice. It's about a property dispute in Santa Monica." She kept him talking, kept him distracted while Marcus worked behind the scenes. Marcus found box 728. Cracked it open with Rosa's help. Inside was a manila folder thick with papers. Bank statements showing payments from Judge Harrington to Daniel Ortiz. Photos of the judge with Linda Chin. Court documents showing the case dismissal. Everything Antonio needed to destroy them. Marcus grabbed it all, stuffed it in his jacket and walked out of that vault like he owned the place. By the time Castellano realized his box had been accessed, Marcus and Isabella were already halfway back to the safe house. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. That night they burned the documents. All of them. Watched 10 years of secrets turn to ash in a metal trash can. Judge Harrington was there too, watching in silence. When the last page caught fire, he looked at Marcus and Isabella. "Thank you. Both of you. I don't deserve this, but thank you." Marcus nodded. "Just make sure it was worth it, Judge. Do better going forward. That's all we can ask." But the story doesn't end there. Because Antonio Vega wasn't the type to let things go. When he found out his insurance policy was gone, when he realized he'd been played, he went nuclear. He put a price on Marcus's head. $5 million to anyone who could bring him the ghost. Dead or alive. Marcus knew he couldn't stay in LA. Not anymore. It was too hot. Too dangerous. He'd have to disappear. Really disappear this time. And that meant leaving everything behind. His crew. His sister Carmen. The only home he'd ever known. And Isabella. The night before he was supposed to leave, Isabella came to him. They met at the Santa Monica Pier at midnight, with the ocean crashing below and the Ferris wheel lights spinning above. "I'm coming with you," Isabella said. Marcus shook his head. "You can't. Your life is here. Your father needs you. The youth center needs you." Isabella stepped closer. "I need you. And you need me. We're in this together now, Marcus. For better or worse." Marcus looked at her, this incredible woman who'd turned his entire world upside down, and he realized something. He'd spent his whole life running. From his past, from his choices, from anything that made him feel vulnerable. But Isabella made him want to stop running. Made him want to build something real. Something that mattered more than territory or power or respect. "Okay," he said. "But we do this right. No more secrets. No more lies. We start fresh. Somewhere nobody knows us. Somewhere we can just be Marcus and Isabella. Not the ghost and the judge's daughter." She smiled, tears in her eyes. "Where do you want to go?" Marcus thought about it. "I've always wanted to see New York. Maybe we start there. See where it takes us." They stood there on that pier, holding each other, knowing that tomorrow everything would change. Knowing that they were about to walk away from everything familiar and step into the unknown. It was terrifying. It was exhilarating. It was freedom. 3 months later, a postcard arrived at Rosie's Diner in Boyle Heights. No return address. Just a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge and 2 words written on the back. "Still running." The owner of the diner, an old woman named Rosa who'd known Marcus since he was a kid, smiled when she read it. She knew he'd made it out. Knew he'd found something worth living for. She pinned the postcard to the board behind the counter, right next to photos of other neighborhood kids who'd made it out, made something of themselves. And life went on in LA. Tommy took over what was left of Marcus's operation, ran it smarter, quieter. Judge Harrington retired from the bench, started working full-time at the youth center, trying to make amends. Linda Chin came out of hiding, testified in 3 corruption cases that helped clean up the DA's office. And Antonio Vega? He disappeared too. Some say he went back to Mexico. Others say he's still in LA, plotting his revenge, waiting for the right moment to strike. But that's a story for another time. Because here's what you need to understand. This story, Marcus and Isabella's story, it's not over. Not even close. What I just told you. That's just the beginning. See, when they got to New York, when they thought they'd finally escape, they discovered something. Something that connects back to that Daniel Ortiz case. Something that involves people way more powerful than Antonio Vega. People who don't just control the streets or the courts. People who control entire cities. And Marcus and Isabella are about to get pulled into something that makes their LA drama look like child's play. If you want to know what happens next, if you want to see how deep this rabbit hole really goes, you need to check out the next video on this channel. Because I'm about to reveal the one thing Marcus and Isabella discovered in New York that changed everything. The secret that connects Judge Harrington, Antonio Vega, and a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top. Trust me, you thought this story was intense? You haven't seen anything yet. Click on the next video right now. Don't wait. Because what I'm about to show you will blow your mind. The real story is just beginning, and you're not gonna want to miss a single second. See you in the next one.